It's interesting how a lot of people refer to the light, the divine light, and this is often seen as a brilliant, pure white light or a golden light. And if we just look at light, white light, we know that all other types of light are expressions of white light, because when all the different colours of the light spectrum are put together, all the different colours of the rainbow are put together, it creates white light. And white light refracted through a prism creates the whole rainbow spectrum of colours. So this idea that everything can come out of a singularity and everything can return to a singularity is not an unusual idea. It's an idea we see in the properties you can actually see with your eyes, your physical sight, the principles of light. And perhaps that's what's happening here. Perhaps this world, as an expression of light, we're learning from its principles, and as we learn we return to that light from which we came, that source from which we came. And there's a great analogy of the movie screen. So like this world as the play out of pictures on a movie screen, but the divine as the light that shines, just like an old-fashioned cinema where the light behind you projects onto the screen and creates the moving pictures. It's just one single light, and yet it can manifest in a whole array of different appearances, of different expressions. And so these scenes of our lives, they come back to a quote from Autobiography of a Yogi. This quote is on page 274. So these scenes of our lives, they are the cosmic motion picture, as real and as unreal as the theatre newsreel. They are the cosmic motion picture, as real and as unreal as the theatre newsreel. The cosmic motion picture. So everything we sense, we see, we hear, we touch, we smell is an expression of this. Is this 3D cosmic motion picture. Yeah. So time and space, illusion or real. If this is a cosmic motion picture, and we get lost in this cosmic motion picture, that's one thing that can happen. Or if this is a cosmic motion picture and we can remember the source from which it was born, that's another option. And yeah, so if you're remembering the source, perhaps you're seeing this cosmic motion picture as unreal. Perhaps you're seeing it as real because it's an expression of the source. So illusion or real is up to you. But the fact is, if you've forgotten the source, then the motion picture is your only reality. And there's nothing broader than that. And so if we're lost in the motion picture, this is when it becomes illusion, when we've separated ourselves from the source we come from. So I've written here, time and space, illusion or real, you decide. And again it comes back to your own consciousness, the quality of your own consciousness, how deeply, widely, broadly, eternally, timelessly you can perceive. So we can have a limited perception in time and space, we can have a broader perception in time and space, or we can have an unlimited perception, unbound by time and space, which is connection to the divine essence and understanding the wholeness of this divine essence which is expressing itself in the cosmic motion picture of our lives. Time and space, illusion or real, you decide, but know the truth runs deeper. This truth of spirit, this truth of essence, this truth of love, this truth of unity. And know that time and space allow us the experience of the discovery of that truth, and the grounds within which we can express it, our divinity. So this cosmic motion picture, it allows us to lose contact with self, to re-find contact with self. It allows us to discover self. It allows us to, once we have discovered it, to express it. So, yeah, illusion or real, well, when you see the context, it can be the grounds for an expression of something very real. It is the grounds of something very real, but it depends on how you interact with it. So we can interact with the world and just encounter meaninglessness. But if we've got an understanding of the broader picture, our interacting with the world can take on meaning. It is meaning. So it's our divinity, essentially, that we are expressing. And if we forget our divinity, then what is there to express? It just becomes like a meaningless hodgepodge of interactions with no heart of love. And the heart of love, the true heart of love, is our divinity, our divine oneness. Divinity, divine unity, oneness. It is all that. All is that. This. And again, I'm not creating a separation between the cosmic motion picture, as it's put in Autobiography of a Yogi, and the divine essence which projects or creates that cosmic motion picture, because it's all divinity happening. It's divinity in stillness, the source, and divinity in movement, the motion picture. The motion picture, it's like stillness, source, movement, expression, experience within the play-out world of duality. Pure light, experienced through the play of light and dark. So we have this pure light essence that I opened this video with, this pure light essence, this white light or this golden light. Experienced through the play of light and dark, through the play of duality and all the dualities and all combinations and degrees of duality that give the nuances of our apparently separate experiences. Because of course categories of light, dark, good, bad, these are simplifications. They are it's just a description of a duality. The fact is that there's light and dark and greys between to various degrees, and all these various different degrees that we can align ourselves with. So maybe mostly towards good on the good-bad spectrum, maybe on the introvert-extrovert spectrum, maybe more towards the extrovert. On the male-female spectrum, maybe female but with tendencies towards what may be traditionally seen as male expressions. There's like all these dualities. Our lives are based on these combinations of all these dualities that give richness to our experience. So on the same page of Autobiography of a Yogi, page 274, it says, creation is light and shadow both. So in this sense, the creation is the screen, the play-out picture. The creator is the pure light. So the creation is light and shadow both, else no picture is possible. And this is exactly why the white light has to project itself into light and dark, because pure white light, there's no picture possible. It's just light, it's just essence, it's just love, it's just oneness. And as I said before, oneness cannot experience itself. Oneness needs to give birth to itself in duality in order to experience. Creation is light and shadow both, else no picture is possible. The good and evil of Maya, Maya being illusion, must ever alternate in supremacy. So in this play-out world we have this, this hustling of light and dark, this battle of good and evil which is forever playing out in our lives on a large scale and within us. If joy were ceaseless here in this world, would man ever desire another? Without suffering, he scarcely cares to recall that he has forsaken his eternal home. So this idea that suffering within the play-out world is a reminder that there is something more, a reminder that there is the source to come back to. Pain is a prod to remembrance. Pain is a prod to remembrance. And this relates very well to what I said before about depression, how we can mask the symptoms of depression through drugs, or we can look at what that depression is telling us that our society is not living optimally, that we as individuals are not living optimally. So just like depression, anxiety, all these sorts of dis-eases, just like they are a prod to remembrance, all forms of suffering in the world are a prod to remembrance, are a clue to ourselves saying this is not completely it, this can't be all of it, because all of it is beyond suffering, all of it is the totality of oneness that we eventually return to once we alleviate suffering within ourselves through understanding of ourselves. And that's what it says next. The way of escape is through wisdom. So pain is a prod to remembrance, the way of escape is through wisdom. So we're not escaping reality, we're escaping illusion, we're escaping Maya, we're escaping the push and pull of duality, we're escaping the pleasure-pain dichotomy, and we're establishing ourselves in truth. So there's no real escape here. Escape is like a giving up almost, a running away, but actually it's not that. It's seeing that the duality is limited, and in seeing that it's limited, we're actually stepping up our consciousness into greater expression. Just like surrendering is not giving up. Surrendering is seeing that some way of operating doesn't work, and then letting go of that way of operating. So that letting go may be seen as a giving up of, but it's giving up and ascending. It's not giving up and because you've lost the battle. It's giving up because you're stepping out of a way that no longer works. You're giving up a way that no longer serves you in order to step into a way that does. I'll read that whole thing again. And there's a bit more as well. Creation is light and shadow both, else no picture is possible. The good and evil of Maya must ever alternate in supremacy. If joy were ceaseless here in this world, would man ever desire another? Without suffering, he scarcely cares to recall that he has forsaken his eternal home, this oneness, this essence, this God, this love, this true self. Pain is a prod to remembrance, all of those things I just said. The way of escape is through wisdom. The tragedy of death is unreal. So we do not die. When we know that we are beyond this body-mind, then the end of this expression is not a death, it's just a moving on of life into something else. The tragedy of death, life into another expression of life. Life never becomes something else other than life, but it can change its expression. The tragedy of death is unreal. Those who shudder at it are like an ignorant actor who dies of fright on the stage when nothing more has been fired at him than a blank cartridge. So this is the whole notion that if we're caught up in a sense of limited self, then we really think it's it when we die. But actually, it's a false imagining. It's a false imagining based on a false conception of self that is far too limited. My sons are children of light. They will not sleep forever in delusion. So this is a divine voice speaking. My sons are children of light. They will not sleep forever in delusion. Again, this reference to sons, Father, Son, the Creator, the created, and yet a Son continues the Father's creation. And the other way of looking at it, I mean, that's amazing in itself. The Son continues the Father's creation. The other way of looking at it is that the Son, we are all sons. We are all sons. We are all the one divine light that gave birth to us. Remember, I said divinity I see. I'm not saying you have to see it as this, but I see it as a burning ball of light. The Sun, or like the Sun beyond the Sun, the spiritual Sun, the cosmic Sun, the central Sun, whatever Sun you want, it's all the Sun, it's all one light. And so I don't get worried about what Sun, this divine essence that I see is. It could be any number of suns, because all suns are symbolic of that one spirit light, and are that one spirit light. We each individual at the heart is the sun, has a sun, is the light of the sun. The light of the heart is the same light of the sun that turns the worlds, that keeps it all turning. So like I said before, we may all have an experience as parts, but in essence we are suns, we are the whole, we are the one light shining. And each one of us is this. Your sun, my sun, the sun. It's all one sun. It's all one spirit light. And this is who we are. So my sons are children of light, they will not sleep forever in delusion. So again, if we don't realise our spiritual truth, we're deluded, we're ignorant. And so realising who you are, which is realising spiritual truth, spirituality is nothing other than realising who you truly are and living according to that. I mean, there are so many ideas of what spirituality is, but the idea is a limitation on the reality. The idea is a representation of the reality. The fact is, the reality is broader than our understanding of it. Okay. So I've got lots of notes which all came together, or hopefully will come together, for the duration of this talk. So yeah, so I'm going to be referring to these notes, and they all do share the same theme, so I'm bringing them all into this one video. And that theme is the universal one, the same theme as all these videos, the theme that we are one universe and one universal light, and the separation is an expression of that, but is not the whole truth. The whole truth is the truth of wholeness. And this is our true identity. This is the identity of true self, of God, of love, of light. So here we go. We are all unique. We are all the same. One. So we are all unique. We are all the same one. There is just oneness, and we are all, each of us, an expression of that oneness. We each live our life in a way that is unique, and so we're all the same, because we're all unique, because we're all one. There is one. We can't not be unique, there is only one. and we are each that, we are all that, we are expressions of that, and we are that. Nothing else is happening. But can we always express that? Can we always show that? Can we always demonstrate that? Well, when it's environmentally safe, we can let go. We can let go of all the kind of protection mechanisms, of all the kind of armouring, of all the kind of shielding ourselves against what we perceive to be dangerous or negative. When it's environmentally safe, when we feel safe, we can let go. So when it's environmentally, emotionally safe, we can let go. When everything's a threat, or when we perceive everything as a threat, we contract, because if things are threatening, we look to protect what is most immediately obvious, and that is our individual body-mind self. That is this sort of body-mind computer that processes this wholeness of consciousness that we are. Like I said before, we are the interface of that wholeness of consciousness, and so we seek to protect this instrument that is our expression of consciousness. So when everything around us is a threat, when we fear our survival, when we're struggling just to pay the rent or just to feed ourselves and feed our family, then everything seems a struggle, everything seems a threat. And once we contract into that sort of mode of being, that mode of seeing, we kind of narrow our perception to what is immediately necessary, just like when the physical body is put under threat. There's all of the blood might move out of the digestive system and into the muscles, for example. It's like the whole parasympathetic nervous system isn't operational. It's fight or flight, where it's not the wholeness of the body that is being served, but the bits that will ensure survival in that moment. So the muscles, the constricting of the arteries, in order that all the muscles receive enough blood to move and enough oxygen to move. So what I'm saying essentially is that we contract in this narrow survival mode. Like when we're intent on just surviving, we're contracting, we're not seeing the whole picture. And this is time-space separation. This is the illusion of Maya, that we are so limited that we've lost the plot, we've lost the context of who we are. So contracting is a narrow view coming from that survival sort of mechanism. Time-space separation, Maya, illusion, which we need to step out by stepping up, expanding, working through. So we work through this mode. If we're stuck in this mode, we work through this mode in order to realise that we're safe, in order to create safety for ourselves, so that we can expand, so that we can let go of that armouring, let go of that shielding, let go of all that keeps us blinkered, focused on survival, in order that we can step up beyond the survival mode and into realisation mode, expand our awareness. When we're safe, we're able to expand our awareness and to start to realise things on a deeper level, on a bigger scale. So we often talk about, I just said realise, it sounds very similar to realign, and realise, seeing with real eyes. Realigning, we're often talking about, we talk about realigning the body, realigning the spine, but there is of course higher alignment with spirit. And yeah, if we're aligned with spirit, this alignment is reflected down through all levels, including body alignment. But anyway, so alignment and higher alignment. We are images of the source, spirit, and we reflect back to it through the body. We are images of the source, of spirit, of the Creator, and we reflect back to it through the body. So the way we live our lives is a testament to that spirit of what it is. The way we use the tools we are given, the instruments of body and mind, is an expression of what that spirit is. But anyway, in that expression we can get lost in the narrow view, the time-space view, the survival of the body-mind as the main priority view, and identification with this body-mind as your self. And this is body consciousness. This is the consciousness, the mind that is stuck to the body. But knowing the truth, the wholeness of the truth, is consciousness of spirit, or if you want to look at it as individuated spirit, of soul consciousness, spirit consciousness. And this is seeing that the self is broader than this immediate limited mind-body expression. So this is seeing beyond the survival mechanism into the realization mechanism, the realization of self, of truth, that we are spiritual beings having an experience within matter. That matter is not all there is, that mind is not all there is. Mind is an interface through which you tell yourself what you are. You tell yourself you're a limited body having an experience, or you tell yourself you're a spirit, your spirit having an experience. And yeah, it's a choice. It might not be as simple as selecting one or the other. It's not that kind of flippant. It's not that kind of. It's that choice is based not on like I choose this, I choose that. It's based on the way you live your life. It's based on the principles that you act on. So if you're acting on survival principles all the time, your choice is body consciousness. It's sort of like survival and pleasure principle. That's body consciousness. If you're acting in terms of a broader understanding of one, you are choosing soul consciousness, you are choosing spirit consciousness. And like I said before, it's all self-fulfilling. So we are one self, and the way we understand ourselves is the way we express life, the way we live life, the way we understand life. And the way we understand life is the way we express. So it's all operating on a loop. And the pivotal point of that loop is our conceptualization of self. So the mind is the interface. It tells you, or you tell yourself, it's the same, what you are. So a mind can be stuck to the body, or a mind can be realigning with the spirit it is realizing. Okay. So you are enough. Only your thinking makes you not enough, if indeed that appears to be the case. It's your state of being. You are enough. Make this your state of being, in true reflection of and testament to the center love consciousness that you are. So when you know you are this, you know that you are enough, because there is nothing more, nothing less than pure spirit. So I said, you are enough. Make this your state of being, in true reflection to and testament, true reflection of and testament to the center love consciousness that you are. But then in brackets I've written if you want, because it all comes back to what you want. It all comes back to what you choose. Love is a state of being. It's not to be found in ideas or matching up ideas of what love is. It's not to be found in matching up an idea of what love is. To your experience, love is a state of being. It's not to be found in ideas of what love is. So in looking for love, we're not creating ideas of what love is and then trying to match up reality to that. It's more like discovering the reality and letting our ideas be in service to that reality. Love is a state of being. It's not to be found in ideas of what love is. And so if two people are looking for love, is that love based on an understanding beyond their limited selves that they both share, understanding of spirit, or is that love based on a matching up of ideas of what love is? So if somebody thinks love is about love is about caring for someone, and someone else thinks love is about being cared for, then that may appear to be a compatibility. Just if someone thinks love is about caring for someone else thinks love is about caring for someone, then these things are compatible, and that may work for a time, for a space, but ultimately true love is true love shared. True love is the sharing of that realization of what love is on a level broader than limited mind-body interest, than limited self-interest. True love is true self-interest. It's like understanding the essence, who you are and who the apparent other is, and seeing that essence is shared, that the life essence that runs through us is shared, and it's all beings share this love. It's just we each have different degrees of realization of this love, and perhaps the compatibility is found in similar levels of that realization. We feel love for those people who are on the same wavelength as us. Perhaps more easily than we feel love for people on different wavelengths, different ways, but it's all the different wavelengths, all the different frequencies of the same love. So here we go again. Love is a state of being. It's not to be found in ideas or matching up ideas of what love is. That is just a compatibility of ideas based on thought and thought identification. And as we've seen before, thought is like a limitation of, it's a representation of reality. It's not the whole of reality. So compatibility of ideas based on thought and thought identification with an aspect of the spectrum of the duality. So we can align our thoughts to an aspect of the duality. We can think, okay, so I'm into this fashion and I like this music. That's aligning our thoughts to one aspect of the duality, to one aspect of the experiential realm possibility. And another person can be aligned to that same aspect of the spectrum, and then there appears to be a compatibility there. But that compatibility is just a compatibility of thought identification. And it's thought identification that limits us. It's thought identification that can set us free as well. So where are your thoughts? How elevated are your thoughts? Are your thoughts based on just a limited part of the duality, or are your thoughts recognizing that we're all sharing this one whole? And ultimately knowing that is beyond thought, because thought is separative. Thought is based on limited mind-body experience. All of our thoughts come from our experience in the world. And yes, also there can be divine inspiration which is experienced through thoughts as well. But what I'm saying is love is a state of being, and this ultimately is beyond thought identification. It's beyond thought, and it's more of a feeling, it's more of a connection that is a felt, direct experience. So there's these bookends of duality, the far reaches of good, the far reaches of bad. And thought can identify with any aspects between those bookends, but essentially reality is beyond thought, because reality contains the whole spectrum. It's not just identifying with a limited aspect of it. Okay, so I've written here, if you're angry, you direct it at someone or something. Even if it's yourself, it's an energy that goes somewhere. If you're loving, you direct it at someone or something. And yeah, it's what we feel, we direct, and we create direction. So essence, pure essence love, we give it direction. We give all the emotions that are born of it direction. We take love into experience through the channels we give it. If you're angry, you direct it at someone or something. If you're loving, you direct it at someone or something. For how your consciousness is the world you create. We are all connected. And someone else might say, well, no, we're not. Of course we're not. What do you mean, silly hippie, saying we're all connected? Well, it depends on your feeling. It depends on your feeling of where reality is. And that is your valid aspect, your valid expression of all possibility, of consciousness. So one person might say we are all connected, another person might say no, we're not. One person might say we're all one, another person might say we're all just separate. Well, it depends on your feeling, it depends on your understanding. This world of differences, there are all possibilities of consciousness. And I'm not saying one is right, one is wrong. I'm just saying that, well, which one is the most enjoyable for you? Which one is the one that serves you the most? And who are you that you are serving? You know, it's like, it's seeing the bigger picture is surely going to give you greater sense of possibility and greater enjoyment, because there is a greater alignment to the life that you are. And you can choose. We are choosing at every moment. This moment we choose. What's your highest vision? Live like it is true. This is your choice. What you feel is what is real to you. And what is real is what you feel. So deep feeling, fundamental states of being here. And also in day-to-day life. What you feel is what is real to you. So we can easily misinterpret a situation based on our personality type, and that reinforces our personality type. For example, if we are if we're, for example, sensitive and we think everyone is out to get us, then whatever we see, even if someone's being friendly to you, perhaps you'll think, oh, why are they being friendly to me? Are they probably making fun of me or something like that? This is like what I mean by where we're at. That's the level on which we perceive. You know, it's like, it's self-fulfilling. It's all self-fulfilling. So find out truly what is real for you. Find out what you feel. Find out who you are. And have the strength to be who you are at all times. Who you are. Is it your body, mind, sensing entity? Is it your spirit? Or is it a combination thereof? in the world, yes, it is a combination thereof, but in essence, no, it's not a combination. In essence, it is light, it is spirit. It is that purity which sought to project itself onto the cosmic motion picture screen in order to have an experience. Yes, we have an identity across all aspects of the reality that we live. You know, the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, the physical. We have an identity across all these aspects of reality. But the ultimate, the broader and deeper and ultimately the more meaningful is spirit. Because this is what contains the rest of it. This is what holds the rest of it. This is what holds the space. This is the spirit. This is the love. This is what allows all to be, and this is all being. And knowing that all the other aspects become equally as meaningful, given their true context of spirit, equally as spirit for a time and a place, because spirit infuses all it is brought to. Spirit infuses all it is brought to. Spirit infuses all that it is, because all is an emanation of spirit. Spirit infuses all it is. Spirit infuses all it is brought to. It is our role to bring it, to know it and live it. So, again, reintegrating spirit and matter. This is our role as human beings to use our experience in service to spirit, and spiritualizing matter and grounding the spirit in our experience. Spirit is always purity, and we can bring its expression into our world. So body or spirit, you can identify with either one. Like I said before, body consciousness, soul or spirit consciousness. Or somewhere in the middle you can identify, you can sort of be going between the two. But spirit is the ultimate truth, and ultimately that's what we come back to sooner or later. It's what we came from and what we are. It's where we are, here and now. So spirit is the ultimate truth, and ultimately that's what we come back to. And this is why I always say, come back to yourself. This is what I mean, come back to yourself, come back to your true essence, spirit love you are. Just don't be held prisoner to an idea about what life is or what life could or should be. Life is bigger than your ideas about it, just like I said before. Life is bigger than the words we use to describe it and the thoughts we have to understand it. Life is bigger than that. Life operates independently of our thoughts and words. Our thoughts and words are just there to help us understand on a mental level what life is and where it's going. But true understanding is a flowing with that life. So don't be held prisoner to an idea about what life is or what life should be. Life is bigger than your ideas about it. And I could learn from what I teach. We all could learn from what we teach. We all do. Because what you teach is how you're living. And the living is the learning. What you teach is how you're living. The way you live, you're teaching the rest of the world what life is. We all do this. Like, we all look at each other and we see certain ways being enacted, and that is a telling of what life is, and we pick up on this. And living is the learning, because although we're teaching by the very way that we are, the very way that we are is the learning process that we're going through. And so we're all just witnessing everyone else's learning process. We're all just witnessing the parts moving away and coming back to the spirit that they are. All at different stages of that same journey. But collectively we notice patterns, and collectively the world and individuals are ready for spirit. There's a yearning for it. There's a need for it to give context, to give meaning, to give fullness to our lives. Beyond the sort of tokens of the passing show. Beyond the false promises and the marketing. Beyond the short-term pleasures and inevitable pains that come with it, there is a deeper truth, which is the truth of spirit, which is unchanging, and that is your knowledge of that is your stability throughout all the changes. Everything is changing apart from spirit, the centre of the wheel. Unturning, it's pure white light. That's why it seeks to be born into movement, seeks to be born into colours. In order to experience, in order to move, in order to move away and move back. But always the centre. So, in that process, in that journey, there is suffering. And this suffering is there to drive us on, to help us grow. The question is not what's wrong with God, i.e. why did God create all this suffering? He can't exist if he created all this suffering. But what's wrong or limited with our own minds that don't understand him properly? So it's not what's wrong with God, it's what's wrong with our own minds that don't understand what God is and how God works. You know? And I said him just now because to me God is like I said, like a sun, like a solar deity, light. This is like a projective kind of energy. And so him, it's not a male-female power trip thing. And this is what happens when people only see the duality. They see push and pull power relations. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is looking at a universal principle of light, which is giving, of projecting. And every human being, whether male or female, is essentially receptive to that, is essentially feminine in that male-female relationship. The earth is feminine, the sky is masculine. It's like the sun is masculine, the earth is feminine. The earth receives the rays of the sun. The earth is nurturing. It's like male or female. We can express the qualities of projection, of nurturing. We can express all of it, but there are fundamental differences that seem to be sort of whitewashed over. There are fundamental differences. And this is the duality of experience, the male and the female. It's the duality of experience. And if we forget that duality in its divine expression, then we're sort of just, we're melting into blandness of nothing. We need the duality in order to experience. We need experience in order to return to our truth. If that duality just sort of melts into nothingness, it's not melting into spirit unless we're stepping up and out of it through understanding. So I refer to God as a him, a solar deity, light, projective, the light of the projector that creates the images on the screen that we may or may not get lost in. Suffering appears to exist just like the rest of the play-out world. It is our freedom and our responsibility to overcome it, which is first and foremost overcoming the limitations of our own minds. To overcome suffering, we need to overcome the limitations of our own mind and the limitations of our own sense of self. to see the whole picture, to see the essence self, the big S, true self. Looking, learning, knowing self and knowing God, the picture maker himself, itself, oneself. Love light whole we are. Don't try to match reality to your ideas about it, for then it becomes something less than it is, something less than reality. Match your ideas up to reality, which means broadening, expanding, out of time-space, lessening the hold of ideas, and more being with the direct experience of reality as it is. So this burning ball of light as I see it, for you it's perhaps a different image, but we're being in the felt experience of the reality rather than just the thought about it. Because if it's just a thought, we're limiting reality to a mental world, and our world is richer than that. Our world is richer than the mental separation of ideas. Thought is separative, based on past and future. Presence is here now, broader than thought. I think it's Henry David Thoreau who says, hitch your wagon to a star. You know, your wagon being the body, soul, star being spirit, soul. And he doesn't say hitch your star to a wagon. It's very different. He doesn't say limit your soul to the body. He says elevate your body to the spirit. Hitch your wagon to a star. He also said, if someone does not keep up with their contemporaries, perhaps they are moving to a different drummer. And so what drummer are you moving to? Are you moving to the rhythm of body-conscious, time-space world dictates? Or are you moving to the flow of spirit? What do you choose? Who is your master? What is your master? Is your master spirit? Or is your master... Are you your own master as a limited self? Or are you your own master as ultimate self? You know, it's like... because one works and one doesn't. If you think your limited expression is all that is, and that is your master, then your spirit is becoming a slave to the senses, is imprisoned by the senses, is imprisoned by ideas. But if you know that your body-mind is not eternal, or your body is not eternal, and you know that spirit is eternal, then you know the body is in service to spirit, and spirit, the life that you are, is your master. And that is where happiness is, aligning your understandings to the truth. So we can't grow old gracefully when we're stuck in time-space. So many people patching up their faces with plastic surgery because, well, to me it seems, because they don't see the truth which enables their body to just grow old gracefully. If we don't realise that we're beyond the body, then the body's all we've got, and it's sad to see people patching it up in a way which suggests that they don't understand that that's not all there is. So yeah, we can't grow old gracefully when we're stuck in time-space, when we're stuck in separation, when our mind cannot see beyond this limited expression as reality. When the mind cannot see reality, the reality that is beyond this limited expression. Separation, you can hold on as it time-space fades, or you can come back to life. Like this idea of coming back to life. In popular culture, it's of dying and coming back to life. But actually coming back to life is returning your understanding to spirit. Coming back to life. Spirit is life. Coming back to it. Coming back to the principles of it rather than the principles of the expressions of time and space, the bodies, the separate units. ultimately die. So coming back to life is moving away from this death consciousness, which is body consciousness, because the body does die, or, returns to the earth and is moved on as atoms and molecules in some other expression. Whereas life, spirit, is eternal and does not die. So separation, and that's, spirit is unity, separation is time-space. Separation, you can hold on as time-space fades, or you can come back to life. So when you come back to life, you can grow old in this body gracefully, because you realise you are beyond this body. This body is a beautiful aspect of who you are, but it's not the soul. It's not the soul. It's not your soul. Your soul is an aspect of the spirit that you are. Remember, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, rather than human beings perhaps having a spiritual experience. We're spirit having a human experience in order to know itself. Okay. So where do you place yourself? Where do you choose? What do you choose? Where do you decide? What do you decide? Where do you cut the spectrum? The spectrum exists for you. Where is your sense of self in this all that is? Limited, narrow, or broad, eternal expanse? So we all work it out on our own terms. I've worked it out on my terms, you work it out on your terms, and we come to a sense of self. That's how it works. So in a linear sense, we have so talking about returning to life, coming back to life, coming back to self, this understanding of spirit. Spirit is pure awareness. But remember, I said in the other videos, this pure awareness, this pure light, needed to give birth to the parts in order to have an experience of itself, in order to learn of itself. Because oneness cannot learn of oneness if it is to remain oneness. There's no part learning of any other part, there's no interaction, there's just pure being, nothing happening. Everything is pure potential. So this light burst apart into experience. This experience is had, and we return with the knowledge of ourselves back to spirit. So this pure awareness in this burning ball of light form, this pure awareness is also no awareness. And this is interesting because it's burning ball of light is beyond duality, is beyond time and space, is beyond the spectrum. So pure awareness is also no awareness. It's all one. It's all one. Whereas if we express that in a linear sense, in the duality, we can create a spectrum. We have a line of no awareness to pure awareness. No awareness to pure awareness. Whereas in oneness, it's kind of pure awareness is also no awareness. It's the same, hasn't individuated. So in the expression, we have this spectrum from no awareness to pure awareness. In essence, in unity, it's all the same oneness. Okay, so this is why the oneness had to experience, to split into time and space, the spectrum of possibilities, the line. The line is linear, is time and space. The circle is non-linear, is timeless, is no time and space. Beyond time and space is the eternal now, this non-linear being of love, of spirit that we are. No wonder we can't interpret it, understand it through thoughts, because thoughts are based on a linear mode of thinking in time and space. So in time and space, wherever you are, you can apparently lose awareness or increase it, because this is the line, this is the realm of the line. Presence is being here where you are. So presence is about the circle, presence is about unity of being here and now in this moment. Presence takes you towards pure awareness. So pure awareness takes you towards pure awareness. It's the same energy. The line does not in itself lead to the circle. We have to unite both ends of the duality into oneness. So like you've got the duality, light and dark, and you have to realise that light and dark are all necessary parts of our experience, and so in realising that, you're kind of uniting two ends of the line to create oneness, and you see that the duality exists for oneness. Presence takes you towards pure awareness. Not being present, not being here now, is dissociative, is losing presence. So that doesn't mean fastidiously logging movements in time and space, but being in flow. Presence is ultimately about here and now, being in flow here and now. And in this here and now, we are unity, we feel unity. This becomes the feeling that we serve. So can you have a separate experience of unity, of the universal, of the universe? Not really. But in imagination, dream, the play-out world on the screen, time, space, yes, you can have a separate experience of oneness. But to oneness, it's all oneness. And no matter how far advanced or unadvanced, these are just sort of categories, right? You are, that really is your own experience. That reality is your own experience. So no matter how far advanced, how much this or how much that, how much unadvanced, how much tall or short, how much left or right you are, that reality is your own experience. But there is just one whole, and we're all it. It's just we all experience it differently. And that's okay, that's alright. This is the mechanism of the universe. Separate dreams of one reality. Separate dreams of one reality. That's what's happening here. All these different lives in the world, these are separate dreams of the one reality we are, the one spiritual truth. And separate dreams of one reality, that's the way it works. That's the way it all works. We pull it apart, but only to bring it back together. So the circle moves out into the line, the spectrum of existence, but only that it may unite again back to the circle, the non-linear to the linear, and back to the non-linear. Essence into an experience, and back to the essence. Non-duality into duality, and back to the non-duality. And this is how we learn. Through this journey, we learn who we are, and we return to who we are. We become who we are. We are born again. We return to life. Returning to life, we are born to life. This is what it means to be born again. It's to remember this truth. To remember, to rejoin to this truth. Every path takes you further away from home and back to it. So home being the spiritual truth. Every path takes you further away from home and back to it. The true essence of who you are, that is your home. Every path takes you further away from home and back to it. And the source energy, this energy of life, of self, of God, is available to you whether you're coming into it to rest, returning to oneness, or heading out from it on a new adventure, a new experience, expression of the one. So this energy is the energy of life, and it's available to us to use as we wish. This is our free will within the set motion of life. So We are all destined to return to our truth, but we are writing the process. We are choosing how that happens, but it's inbuilt that we return to love, because there's nowhere else to go. So we have to return to love. The truth is not a path, but a destination. I nearly said part there. The truth is not a part, but the whole. So it's seeing the wholeness of love you are. The truth is not a path, but a destination, and each moment of the path is the destination. The truth is not a path, but a destination, and each moment of the path is that destination. So you are here now. And the destination is the path, and this is truth also, so long as the context is understood and time-space journey isn't lost to itself, isn't cut off from the source, light, we most ultimately are. So all is in service to this. Time and space cannot be in service to itself without missing the point. The point is the center, love, you are. So I said the source energy is available to us whether we're coming back to it or moving away from it, because all energy is the source energy. It's the same energy in whatsoever way we use it, choose it, know it, one. But the truth is source is one, and us aligning. So we are this energy, aligning to this energy. This is the process. And in this process, you can't do everything. In the world, you can't do everything. You have to choose one way. But you are all of it. And this is the experience we have. Our lives, our individual lives. We choose one way and we live it. We are all of life. But in the time-space separation where everything is individuated, we can't experience all of it. We can't experience all the expressions, but we are all of it, essence, spirit, experiencing whatever expressions we choose and whatever way we choose. So you can't do everything. You have to choose one way, but you are all of it. Yeah, so I've written in all the parts. You can't do all, but you do through your partite experience eventually. From beginning of time to end, it's all you. So even in choosing one way amidst time and space, in another lifetime you choose another way amidst time and space, until you've experienced all the possibilities. So each soul goes through this experience of all the possibilities and learns according to its experience, just as in the world, in this moment, all possibilities are being experienced. So it's like through the process of time and space, the one wholeness experiences all the aspects of itself before returning back in. Follow yourself, for you must. There is nothing else. Let yourself grow, your sense of self evolve. Don't get lost in the buying and selling, the pushing and pulling of just the duality. Love cannot be sold. Love cannot be sold. You know? Because we are all love, we are all of it. But it can be broken down. And us, love, broken down for the sake of an experience. So we move away from love into an expression which becomes our experience. And if we identify reality with this experience, we start to identify with parts, then we get lost. Then we can be sold images of truth. We can be sold back to ourselves in pieces, and then we can get caught in this limited sense of self, which is apparently trying to regain itself through externals. But love cannot be bought and sold, because it all exists right now, and you are not different from any aspect of it. It's only your thoughts, your thinking, that separate out your sense of you from all of the rest. So learn to look beyond your thought identification by examining it, by seeing what you are attached to, by seeing what your thoughts are attached to. Because without thoughts that link us to different aspects of experience, we remain all of it. We remain that pure presence that we are. And we are beyond getting lost in buying and selling. It doesn't mean you don't buy and sell, it just means you don't get lost in thinking your value exists there, because your value is the truth of who you are, which is love, which is inseparable at source. You and your experience. Okay, so I said it's inseparable at source, because at source nothing's separated, it's all one. You and your experience exist on two different channels, and so this is when the oneness is born out into parts. Then you and your experience exist on two different channels. You have the vertical channel, divine connection, here and now, and you have the horizontal connection of your experience in time and space. You and your experience exist on two different channels. You love your inner nature, like I say, the vertical. The world experience, the horizontal, the time and space experience. The world is a time and space expression. And this time and space expression, we can get lost in this, thinking that's all, when it is your light that lights the world. It is your connection to the source you are that brings light to the world. And that is from a yogi tea bag. It is your light that lights the world. There is no light in the world but what you bring to it through yourself. No light in the world but spirit light that flows into it through us, if we are open to it. If we are open to ourselves, if we know who we are, then knowing we are spirit, we channel spirit into the world. We create the world. Spirit creates the world. We are this. There is no light in the world but what you bring to it through yourself, through your own connection to who you are. Your truth, which is the love of essence that is your being. The body experiential realm is just the grounds. The love life is you. Don't get confused. Don't get confused between the two. So the vertical axis is truth, is essence. The horizontal axis experience, separation. And so, okay, so what is an aspect of this experience, this separation? Anything that the world functions on. So money, for example. Money exists in the principles of profit and loss, duality. It's a worldly principle. And so if we're chasing money, we're focusing on this horizontal plane, we're perhaps focusing on that and forgetting self, this vertical plane, spirit to earth, presence. And so it's about balance, it's about being in the world, but knowing your identity as beyond the world, knowing your identity as this spirit truth, which you are channeling to the world and helping to elevate the world, return the experience back to essence. So a focus on money is a focus on separation, and there is no happiness there because there is no fullness there. There is no fullness in the separation. The separation is just lots of little parts, lots of little transactions. The game is not money, so the game of life is not money. The game is life, divine game. It's a divine game of life that's happening, life experiencing through expression. The game is life. It's a divine game. And this divine game is not the overlaid human game we're all dupes into, which is the identification with the separation, with the money chasing, with the survival. Yes, world and money, it exists in our experience. But know when enough is enough, and focus on what's real. Love life you are, here now. When you hear people saying, there's more to life than this. Yes, there's more to life than this. We need to re-establish the spirit compass, that inner guidance, the heart of love that is the way of all expressions. And so wherever we are in that horizontal plane, we're establishing the divine, the sense of self, the spirit within that. So wherever we are on that horizontal plane, we're establishing presence, experience, presence. And this is the cross. This is the symbol of the cross. We are holding the center, we are holding the worlds together. The balance of spirit and experience and spirit. And that light at the center of the cross is the light of spirit shining, of spirit holding it all together, because that's the only thing that does hold it all together, and the only thing, non-thing, the only whatever it is, the only energy, the only consciousness, the only love, this elevated love of spirit is the only thing that holds all together, because it is all. Yeah. And this you can see as a circle, being our experiential world, dot in the centre, being heart of spirit, the cross within the circle, being the divine axis and the world axis, the non-dual and the dual, the spirit and the experience, all held together by that light of love, of spirit that we are, which is all of it, which is the experience around the edges, which is the hub of the wheel in the centre, holding the cross together, which exists within that circle, which is also the point, is the, let me just get a quote. I wrote this in the front of my first book, We Are Awakening. The nature of God is a circle, of which the centre is everywhere, and the circumference is nowhere. At one time through love, all things come together into one, in podicles. I don't know how that's pronounced, but I think it might be that. The nature of God is a circle, of which the centre is everywhere, and the circumference is nowhere. At one time through love, all things come together into one. At one time, here and now, all things come together into one. So if you put money, separation, over self, then you're bound to lose. Put money, separation over self, and you're bound to lose. Whether you look at it that way, though, is for you to choose. Put money over self and you're bound to lose. Whether you look at it that way, though, is for you to choose. So remembering that separation, horizontal axis is not all there is. There's the divine connection, presence, here now, eternity, and the vertical axis. So there's the cross, held together at the centre and the edges, the essence and the experience, spirit that you are, because it's all that spirit. It's all that spirit that you are, that centre that you hold within as the understanding of your truth, of who you are. Love.